friends, happy Monday. Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I created my entry for the Danger Jones Fall Hair Contest. Here are a few shots of my beautiful model. We did a fall Prism. You may recognize her. She was also the model in episode 30 right here. And this is actually her fade out from 10.5 weeks after we did that color. So you can see she's got her roots. The ends are a little more like cool tone because that's where it was purple. And then the rest was that peachy color. So first I am going to start off by spraying her with water and my K18 molecular repair mist to repair and protect her hair during the chemical service. And I'm not going to show everything. I do have a video where I show her entire touch up, but I actually just use Highlift color. This is not lightener. So I use the Kevin Murphy straight neutral 12.0 Highlift, and then I mix 30 and 40 together, and she processes for the entire 55 minutes with a cap on. I don't use heat, but she does have a cap on. But even though it's not lightener, you still don't want to go overlapping too much, but it is so gentle, so it's a lot better on the hair than lightening all the time. We used to do a platinum retouch on her, and then one day I was like, you know, your hair is pretty light. I bet I could just use a high lift because we always do like oranges and peaches, and she never wants to be platinum blonde. And so she was like, let's go, I'm down. And she's got such fine hair that I knew it would be so much better for her. So I think it's been maybe like probably 6 to 8 months that we've been using Highlift, and she loves it. Her hair feels so healthy, and we still get those roots super blonde, as you will see. There's a lot of leftover peach, like orangey color underneath from the last color that we did, so don't let that throw you off. That's just old color. But you can definitely see on the ends where we used to use lightener and now where we use the Highlift color. It's a big difference in the texture of the hair and just how healthy it feels because she does have such fine, delicate hair. But I am just doing all of her roots with this Highlift, and I saved the front until the very end because it's so fine and it lifts so quick. But I usually put a little hole at the bottom of my cap to keep the hair out. Little hack right there for you. And now I've mixed up all my Danger Jones. So I had 7 different bowls. So instead of naming everything off, I just have that little note right there. You can screenshot it, take a picture, and then you have all of my formulas. But we are going to start off with the hair underneath. Now my Prism is going to be that mohawk panel, and underneath, these are just kind of going to shatter underneath, and you're not really going to see them as much. They're mostly going to poke out the bottom. And then if she does like a half up, half down, then you'll really see these, or when it's all curled. So I just decided that I wanted to do peach up front. So I went in with straight simpatico right there. And I don't know, I always do peachy colors on Sarah. So I just felt like I really wanted to see peach up front. She loved the idea too. So we did that. And now I'm just going to start using all of my colors. So first I went in with the yellow, and I decided to go from the lightest to the darkest as I make my way around the head in these vertical sections. And again, these are all Danger Jones semi-permanent color. I shampooed that Highlift color out with the K18 Detox shampoo. And then I also used the K18 mask before I blow dried and got this ready. But this is not toned at all. This is just after the Highlift color. So you can see how great it works on her roots. But this is my lighter orange. I have 2 different orange formulas. I really wanted to get that gradient effect. So we have 2 different oranges and 2 different reds. So like I said, this one is going to be my lighter one. And because the hair is getting like a larger section, there's more of it, I split it in half so that I know I am covering everything. And I'm just going to show you these sections pretty quickly because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I clip that top part away and then just work there on the bottom. This is my darker orange, and you can see how much deeper that tone is than the one next to it. And I like to use my brush to kind of comb it through. You saw how I did that with the bristles. I'm using a smaller brush too from Framar, since these are smaller sections. And even though they're pretty small, I still like to split it in half like that, just to make sure that I'm really saturating at the base. It's super important that you're saturating everything. And then after I know everything is super saturated at the base, I work it through, kind of brush it, move the hair around, and we can see my panels. Also, I didn't section them away, but I did measure how big my sections needed to be based on how many bowls of color I have. So if you need to section it out first, absolutely do that. But I was pretty confident that I could get it right after I measured it with my hands. So I did get it right, and I'm taking these sections. They're like, a little bit bigger than an inch, I would say. And then on this very last one, because it's where they're both going to meet from the two sides, this dark red section is going to be a little bit bigger because it's two sections in one. And I'm splitting it up, making sure that all of the roots are covered with my darker red formula. Also, that bright red that is next to the dark red, the first red that I did, is the brand new Checkmate. Oh my gosh, it is such a fantastic bright red color. I love it. I'm so glad that they made this like fire truck red. It's so good. And now I'm just going backwards with my colors. I did my deeper orange, my lighter orange, now my yellow, and then that peach up front. So now I'm going to just put some foil here for now so that her hair doesn't get color on it, the blonde hair. And I am going to start with some really small sections. So right there in the front, I'm just kind of getting that first section ready with my very first base color, and I'm trying to keep it really, really small. I decided to start with dark red and then move down into my brighter red. So obviously you can choose whatever color you want. This is normally how I do the rainbow prism, but we are going to do this really cool fall gradient. Now here's where it changes a little. I decided to do a little line of clear in the middle in between the yellow and the red. Now my reason for that is yellow plus red makes orange. And so as I make my way down this prism and I'm using my fingers to blend the colors together, I really didn't want to see orange in between the yellow and red because I have orange above it on the other part. So I wanted to really separate the yellow and the red without having orange there. And I think it really worked. So that was awesome. But as you can see, I am just making my way through and doing all of my little colors and my clear. And I'm just going in the exact same order that I did around the head. So I measured this out. So if I started with the dark red, that it would also end on the dark red. And that way it would kind of melt into that back section where it's all the straight Diablo, that dark red section. So I was really excited to see it start with the dark red and finish with the dark red and then melt into that back. So you will also see that. But I am just making my way through and following my pattern, pulling that hair forward, because if I'm pulling the hair forward, then when it falls down naturally, it's going to have that gradient diagonal back effect. And you can see how fine I'm making these sections. And then I decided to go in with my clear first because I really wanted to separate those before I started putting other colors in. And just following my pattern and hitting all those pieces. And you really want to be able to see through that section, not only so that you can see where your section is, but so that you know it's getting saturated. This is definitely a tedious thing, and the more you do it, the faster you get, but it is really easy to get, I don't want to say lazy, but to be like, I could take a bigger section than this, and to just get tired almost. And so I recommend not doing that. Really follow through the whole way with those sections that you can really see through when you push the color down, when you push it down onto the color, I should say. But yeah, really want to keep them nice and thin. But you can see I am just following that same exact pattern of dark red, bright red, and then my dark orange, the light orange, and then my yellow and my clear. So it's super simple. It is exactly the same as the rainbow prism. I just did it with the fall colors. And underneath, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do the vertical lines that I did. That was just what I chose to do. So I had the exact same gradient color melt underneath. But you can totally experiment. And I do have another video. It is episode 10. It's the hidden rainbow prism video. If you wanted to do the underneath, also like a diagonal prism, that is the video that will tell you how to do the underneath if you wanted to do just the entire head prism. Now, that is a lot of work, but it is definitely really cool. But the best part about prism hair like this is that you don't need to do the entire head to get a big effect. So even though I'm just doing the mohawk panel, that prism is going to just go through her entire head, and it's going to be amazing. And when I asked Sarah if she wanted to be my model, she was actually my model last year for my Halloween entry. And we got into the finals last year, so that was super cool. We did like a Chucky themed hair. It's definitely on my Instagram still if you want to go look at it. But she said she had a friend who does makeup and she would love to come do her makeup. And so I was like, okay, cool. So as soon as I finished her hair, her friend came down and did her makeup. So shout out to Kai for doing makeup on Sarah. That was not me when you see her all done up at the end of this. I definitely could do makeup, but I do not have like a whole makeup kit, and it requires so much just sanitation and product and time, and I don't have that. But she did an incredible job on Sarah's makeup. She looked super pretty, and I'm so stoked because the fall entries turned out beautiful. Also, I did do this ×2. I'm sure you already figured that out, but I did speed it up a little so that you didn't have to watch as much footage for as much time, and we could kind of get it going a little bit faster. And of course, I did my regular cutting, but right there where I used my fingers to blend, that is so important. It's really going to keep all the harsh lines away, so you'll see me doing that quite a bit. And I've got my really fine section coming in with some clear first. And I started just a little bit with the dark orange because I know that one's coming after this. So I just wanted to have a little bit behind my bright orange. And now I'm just going through with each color. And instead of having to go through with that color 2 times, I just do obviously the one on the top and the one on the bottom while I have that brush. And of course, my 2 oranges, and then using my finger to rub everything in. Taking those super fine sections and really push it down. And because you want to see the color come through, that's how you know that your section is thin enough. And now I'm starting that dark orange section there in the back and bringing it down here. I also did forget to film. I added my B3 Bond Builder into all of the semi-permanent hair color. That just adds a little more strengthening into the hair, and it also helps with color longevity. But I really rubbed that yellow and red one together there. I didn't do a clear line on the scalp one because I'm not moving that one around as much as I do on the bottom. So I wasn't as worried, and that line actually didn't have an orange tint there. So that was awesome. It was just a really cool separation of the yellow and red. And bringing that down, using my comb to make sure that it's just super secured, almost glued down. You really want that section down so it's not moving around. This is definitely a technique that you cannot be sloppy with. Even when I take my section, you'll see that I use my comb to kind of comb through it and make sure that there's no like chunky pieces. It's all very smooth and straight all the way down, because this is just not one you can be lazy with. Otherwise, you're not going to have the perfect prism that you want. I mean, I'm sure it'll still look, cool, but it's not going to be the perfect diagonal prism. So it is very, very important. You don't want to have any blotchy pieces or any missed chunks. So really be careful when you're taking your sections. And like I said, especially when you get to the end, don't get lazy. If you have a big section and you're like, I'm at the very end, it's fine. Just make sure that you keep taking those small sections. And I am just following that exact pattern all the way back now. So you can see, like I was talking about, how I wanted to start and end with my dark red. So I measured that out pretty perfectly. And now you can see I am starting already with the brighter red at the very back, that really small section. So now I only have the brighter red and the dark red to go back there. So I've got my section perfect. And I am just really saturating that hair and making sure to stay in the sections and to not go over. It is super important to follow that exact pattern that's underneath it to get the effect that we want. Making sure that my clear is good, and then coming in with my dark red. And also what's great about these semi-permanent colors is once you've laid it down onto the hair, it encapsulates. So even if my red goes a little bit onto my yellow, that yellow is still going to be pretty much good. And there's not going to be bleeding. I don't have to worry about that. So it's pretty amazing. As long as you're rinsing out with ice cold water, it is incredible. And we are almost done here. Just have a few more sections. And on the last couple sections, I did move the camera so you get a little bit of a better view. But after this is done, I am just going to rinse her with ice cold water. There is no conditioner, no shampoo, nothing like that after a semi-color. I just rinse her out and then bring her back to the chair and dry her off. I like to also use the K18 mask again. And then when I dried and styled her, I use the K18 volume spray, the K18 heat bounce spray, and the Leaf and Flower 7-minute blowout, and the Leaf and Flower frizz remedy spray. So those were all the styling products. And then before my hot tool, I use the K18 oil. Here, she had to take a little break and now we are coming back. But I wanted to show you how you can just move it around and come right back to it if they do need to take a break. And we are at our final sections now. This is that top view that I was talking about. You can really see our mohawk panel. And now I'm coming in with my dark red. There's my yellow. Like to get those light colors in first so I know that they're good. And there's my dark orange. I swear, these colors are just so gorgeous. Danger Jones did such a great job. And the fact that I didn't need to add anything into my reds, they are just so beautiful and vibrant. I really love this new checkmate. Diablo is gorgeous. I've loved Diablo since the beginning, but I am so excited about this new bright red. If you have not tried it yet, definitely try it. The new light teal ransom is so pretty too, especially because I usually have teal hair. So watch out. I'm going to have that in my hair next. But we are coming in with our last couple sections now. That's our darker orange, our lighter orange, and then our yellow. Using my finger to really blend everything together. And here is our final section. Really comb it down. You can see that I run that comb through because I don't want any chunky pieces that the color is not going to be able to saturate through. That is like the worst thing when you do a prism like this, is if you rinse it out and there's some pieces that are blonde. Ugh, it's like the worst feeling because you took too big of a section and you knew you took too big of a section. So I will never ever do that again. I'm very careful. Really rubbing that yellow and red and all of these together. And we have our beautiful fall prism. I'm going to use my plastic sheet. And now she can see. And then I also like to rub these in right here just so I don't have any harsh lines. And we are good. I have a couple angles of the process right here because it just looks so cool. Love that. Oh, prisms are amazing. They're so much fun. And then you can see there how they connected together in the back. And here is our finished prism. So cool. So everything on top looks like that prism, and then you just see those colors just shattering underneath. And then this is with the prism, like a half up, half down, and you can really see all those vertical sections with that gradient color going back. Our little leaf here, and just some of the shots that I entered for the fall Danger Jones contest. So cute. But thank you all so much for tuning in for another video. Please like and subscribe for more education every Monday, and leave me a comment if there's something that you would like to see next. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.